Theft and Murder by Doyle Yernaux. This play is an homage to the Pink Panther films. The story focuses on a French inspector, Peter Arkin, an incompetent but well-meaning man who is tasked with finding a missing jewel, known as the Blue Fox, as well as the culprit who murdered for it. Following a series of clumsy interrogations, adulterous scandals, and encounters with long-suffering coworkers, Arkin soon makes his way to a hotel casino, where he believes the thief and murderer are both going to be revealed. Will he retrieve the jewel and the suspect? Or will an old foe make an even bigger fool out of him once more? Now for our cast of characters.
Inspector Peter Arkin, a police officer.
Chief Inspector Paul Lambert, Arkin supervisor.
Helene LaJoy, a secretary.
Sergeant Andre, Lambert's assistant and confidant.
George Plummer, a millionaire and collector.
Maurice Lafarge, the plumber's butler.
Simone, plumber's socialite wife.
Lady Claudia Niven, a friend of Simone's.
Madame Duval, an housekeeper.
Robert Niven, Lady Niven's nephew.
Our story takes place in Paris, France, in that sweet spot between summer and fall. Act 1, Scene 1. We find ourselves in the Sucre headquarters. Lombard is filling paperwork on his office when...
Chief Inspector Lambert? Hello, darling. Yes, I made reservations for Le Blacks at 8 p.m. Of course, I'll have the wine for later. Kiss the children for me. I am sure Scotland will be nice this time of year. I have been looking forward to it for months. Of course, those weekends will be free for me. Could I lie to you? Just a moment, darling. Yes?
Your wife is on the other line, Chief Inspector.
Oh, tell her I am out of town. Darling? Yes, I'll be there tonight. Goodbye, my love.
Lombard hangs up the phone. He straightens up his desk before grabbing his hat and coat. Before he can reach the door, Helene LaJoy enters. She is wearing a pink dress with a white sweater and flat shoes.
I'm sorry to barge in, Chief Inspector, but this couldn't wait. There's been a catastrophe.
What?
There's been a shooting at the home of Monsieur Plummer.
Plummer? The millionaire? George Plummer?
Yes.
Well, that is a catastrophe.
But wait, there's more. There was also a robbery reported.
Where?
At the Plummer estate.
You said there was a murder there, not a robbery.
There was a murder and a robbery.
Both? It's not a catastrophe, it's a disaster. What was stolen?
A diamond, I believe. The man called it a blue fox.
The blue fox? Are you sure? Who told you this?
It was Maurice Lafarge. He said he was the butler and that there was a robbery. And then when he explained to me what he had found in the plumber's safe, there was gunfire.
Gunfire?
Yes. And there was screaming in the background. I think Monsieur Lafarge ran off to see what happened because I couldn't reach him over the line. Then someone picked up the phone, a woman, and she said there was a murder and to send someone right away. Sergeant Andre is sending someone right now.
He pulls out a cigar.
You should not be surprised. Plummer has been receiving death threats since he bought the Blue Fox.
What do you mean?
You see, Plummer bought the diamond several weeks ago from Princess Ra of Morocco. It was in all the papers that the diamond was not hers to sell, as it is considered a religious symbol of the people, and as such it belongs to the country, not its ruler. So Plummer has been under scrutiny from the government, and he has received threats from extremists to return the diamond. What else?
Do you think?
It is too early to say. We won't know anything until the investigation proceeds.
Say, why do they call it the Blue Fox?
According to legend, there's a flaw in the gem. If it is held up to the light in a certain way, the image of a fox head can be seen. Hence the name, the Blue Fox.
He prepares to leave, grabbing his hat and coat.
Where are you going?
I have a prior engagement, Miss Lejoy.
But sir!
I trust Sergeant Andre to put the right man on your job. Now have him contact me at Le Blake's if anything new arises.
The door opens, hitting Lombard. It's Sergeant Andre.
Chief Inspector, a catastrophe. There was a shooting at the Plummer estate.
Yes. Helen has already made me aware of it.
No, it's not the shooting that is a catastrophe. When I signed the case to one of our own, I had no idea the address was the home of George Plummer.
Sure.
So I made a terrible mistake.
He pauses, his eyes widen with concern, as one now is on the verge of twitching.
Andre, who did you assign to the case?
He removes his glasses in shame.
Arkin.
Oh my God.
Scene 2, the Plummer Mansion. In the lounge area, there is a coffee table, a sofa, and an end table with a vase. A rug lies near the entrance, and a globe resides next to the mantel, with a painting above it. Plummer observes the painting. Maurice enters.
The inspector is here.
Very well, send him in.
Maurice briefly leaves. He returns with Inspector Arkin. He is dressed in a tan trench coat, a brown stalker hat, and is wearing black gloves. He has a mustache and an occasional vague expression. As Arkin enters, he trips over a rug, falling flat on the ground, but quickly recovers.
The inspector.
Monsieur Plummer, it is an honor. I am Inspector Peter Arkin. You reported a murder?
No, I did not. Maurice reported a robbery.
Then there was no murder.
No, there was a murder.
But you said you didn't report murder or a robbery.
No, I reported a robbery. Then someone came and shot Pierre upstairs while I was on the phone.
Now we are getting somewhere. So, there was a robbery and a murder here.
That is what I just said.
I know that is what you said. Now, who was it?
Inspector, Maurice would not have called to send someone if we knew who was responsible.
Whatever information you have, monsieur, must be taken into account. There has been a murder and a robbery, two horrendous crimes that cannot be ignored. Now, where is the rest of your staff? I must speak with all of them.
Of course, Maurice summoned the staff.
Make sure you all arrive at the same time.
Yes, Inspector.
He leaves.
Now, Monsieur Plummer, what was stolen?
The Blue Fox.
The what?
The Blue Fox diamond. I bought it several weeks ago, and thus far it seems to have given nothing but trouble.
Then I submit, Monsieur Plummer, that you are glad such a priceless jewel was stolen.
I didn't steal it, if that is what you are implying.
I imply nothing. Now, where was the diamond?
In my safe, behind the painting here.
He removes the painting to reveal a rectangular safe with a combination lock.
It is not locked.
Locked?
What?
You said locked.
Yes, I know. You did not lock your safe?
It was locked. Someone clearly took the time to find out the combination and opened it.
I can see that.
He opens it to find a white glove inside. He picks it up.
So, we meet again.
You know the significance behind that?
Oh, yes. This is the distinct frog of the calling card.
The frog?
Yes, the infamous jewel thief. And it would seem he has finally gotten the prize that eluded him before.
Before?
5 years ago, the frog had attempted to steal the Blue Fox from Princess Rai at her guest house in Gustav. When I apprehended the thief, he somehow put the diamond in my coat, and authorities mistook me for the frog, while the real frog made his escape.
He spins the globe.
I was only freed when the fiend struck again.
He puts his hand on the still spinning globe and falls to the floor. He gets up.
What was that you said?
I said nothing.
You didn't?
No.
What was I saying?
You said the frog escaped after your arrest.
Yes, when the frog struck again, I was set free and then he vanished completely. No trace, no witnesses, but I knew one day he would come out hiding. Ah, yes. Now, the blue fox is stolen, and it seems this time the swine has killed for it.
How do you know he killed Pierre?
Pierre?
My chauffeur.
Yes.
Maurice enters.
Well, what took you so long?
You said for everyone to enter at the same time.
I did?
Yes, you did.
Of course I did. Well, send them in.
Maurice summons in the group consisting of Simone Plummer, Lady Claudia Niven, and Madame Duval. Claudia is sophisticated and appears to be unfazed by Arkin's antics, whereas Simone and Madame Duval gradually grow in annoyance. Plummer watches the scene unfold with amusement as Maurice follows him with intention.
Please, there is no need to stand, so feel free to sit down.
Simone and Claudia sit on the sofa while Madame Duval sits in a chair off to the side. Arkin casually walks around the room, causing one accident after another during the interrogation.
Now then, I'm sure you're all wondering why I summoned you all.
Ah!
What?
My foot!
Oh, I'm sorry. Now, as I was always saying, I'm sure you're all wondering why you are here.
Why we were summoned, you mean?
Yes, that is what I meant. And the reason I summoned you all here is because it is possible that one of you knows more about the events of today than meets the eye.
Are you suspecting one of us guilty of murder?
I suspect everyone, madame. I leave nothing to chance.
Chance?
What?
You said chance.
Just a chance that one of you is guilty of murder.
Well, I was in my room when it all happened, Inspector. I heard what sounded like arguing across the room before the shots were fired.
And you are?
Lady Claudia Niven. We've met before.
We did?
The last time you encountered the frog, I was a guest at Jennifer Andrews' party 5 years ago, that night when the frog escaped.
Ah, yes. I don't recall.
Well, I certainly saw you, Inspector, although you may not have seen me.
Only you would make table conversation where there is a dead body upstairs.
It was not just a dead body. It was my husband.
Husband?
Yes. Pierre and I were married for 10 years.
You don't seem to be too distraught about his demise.
It was oddly faithful to me.
So, he was an adulterer?
Le serious adulterous.
Was the serious adulterer worth killing?
I was downstairs when it happened, you see.
Why were you downstairs, if not with your husband?
I am the housekeeper. I tend to do things downstairs here before moving upstairs.
I can vouch for Madame Duval. She was...
Do not interrupt, monsieur. Unless I'm speaking to you directly, please be quiet. Can anyone here attest that you were downstairs when the shooting occurred?
Maurice and I ran up the stairs after the gun went off.
Is this true?
Yes.
Then I presume after you called...
Oh, you clumsy idiot!
Oh, I apologize.
As Arkin picks up her foot, Simone slides off the sofa. Arkin backs up into Plummer. The two bump into each other's head. Arkin is dazed, falls over Maurice, who is picking up the cushions, and Arkin's hand ends up in a vase. He recovers himself as though nothing happened. Claudia quietly smiles at the incident.
Yes, well, what was I saying?
You presumed after I called the police.
Yes, you left the phone.
Arkin pauses and turns to Claudia.
You said there was a party here last night.
Yes, Jennifer Andrews hosted it for George and Simone's wedding anniversary.
It was hardly an anniversary since my husband was not present.
I had important business to attend to, and besides, Miss Andrews' parties were always too extravagant for my taste.
You mean too expensive for your small pockets, darling?
Why were you out of town last, Monsieur Plumard? Did it have anything to do with the Blue Fox?
No, despite what you may believe, I thought the diamond to be a worthy addition to my collection. Had I known the trouble it would have brought, I would have left it with Princess Rai.
Well, the frog surely would have still found a way to claim the diamond nevertheless.
He hits himself in the head with the vase.
So, it was him upstairs after all?
Now, Simone, we don't know for sure it was the frog that shot him.
What other proof is needed? The white glove with a frog on it? The tampered window? And George seeing him for himself?
Simone?
Or just come out with it and tell him why you are in the closet.
So, you came home early this morning?
I arrived home on an earlier flight and did not want to inconvenience anyone.
In the closet.
Oh, for heaven's sake, George, just admit it. You wanted to see me.
So, it was you.
The murderer?
The adulterer! She was having an affair with my husband!
You are a fine one to talk. You were having an affair with my husband.
Liar!
All right, yes. I admit to wanting to see Claudia, but nothing happened. I went to what I thought was her room, but Pierre was coming, so I hid in the closet. Then I had another person come in. There was a struggle. I opened the door, and the person Pierre was fighting with was a figure in black. But before I could do anything, I was pushed back into the closet. I hit my head off the clothes bar and heard the gunshots. When I finally opened the door, I saw Pierre dead and a still smoking gun on the floor.
Unless this is true, I have reason to believe, Monsieur Plumard, that you thought Pierre was going to have his way with the lady and therefore killed him in a rite of Phyllis Jake.
You don't know what you're talking about.
It's not far-fetched.
Any more than your affair?
Shut up!
And if it was not Lady Niven's Rayum, then whose was it?
Rayum?
What?
You said Rayum.
I said Rayum?
The room was occupied by my nephew, Robert.
Where is he now?
Oh, he left earlier today before all the madness occurred.
How coincidental.
Now listen, you.
I'll keep out of this. Your nephew left just as all this happened. How do we know it wasn't him?
Prude!
Chaos begins to ensue. Arkin attempts to leave the room as Lambert arrives.
How does it feel? The bottom of this!
You're clearly the culprit of this murder!
What are you
know exactly what happened.
What is wrong with you?
No.
What is happening?
Arkin!
Arkin, startled, accidentally breaks the vase on Lambert's head, knocking him out.
Well...
Act 2, Scene 1. We find ourselves in Arkin's office. The inspector is examining his board with notes and photographs of potential suspects. Helene enters the office. Before she can knock, Arkin speaks.
Sit down, mademoiselle.
Helene sits down.
Now then, where were you on the night of...
Good morning, Inspector.
Helene, I thought you were someone else.
I thought you were no longer on the case.
It was a funny thing. I got home and expected to turn in for the night when the chief inspector called me and said was back on the case.
Did he say why?
No, but I suspect it is because I am an expert authority on the frog and his activities. He knows that without me, any chance of catching the criminal is lost.
Are these the suspects?
Arkin walks over to the board and points out the names and people from the party.
Not all of them. These all guests at Monsieur Plumard's party the night before the murder of Pierre the chauffeur. This is Countess Cardinal of Valencia, who owns a health spa. This is Colonel Buffoni of Morocco. No doubt he was there to address the threats against Plumar and his acquiring of the Blue Fox. Jennifer Andrews, the hostess of the party, and this is Claudia Nevin of England.
The wealthy bachelorette.
Just the same, she, Madame Plumar, and Countess Cardinal were frequent guests at Miss Andrews' parties. Coincidentally, many of her guests were reported to have their jewelry stolen during or after the gatherings, with only the white glove remaining. I might have known the frog would have returned to his own stomping grounds to claim his prize.
Could it have been a coincidence?
Perhaps, but it is unlikely. He no doubt planned it ahead of time. Once the diamond was out of Morocco and in the hands of a less guarded surrounding, the frog made his move at the Plumar estate.
Who is this man?
Robert Niven, her nephew, recently arrived from America. He was in attendance as well.
With a pointer, he points out the written notes on the board.
The facts, Helene. Without them, the whole science of criminal investigation is nothing than an endless guessing game. We examine the facts, combine them with the clues, and before long, the case is solved.
Arkin walks about the room, eventually making his way back to LaJoy.
Here are the facts. Lady Nevin and her nephew stayed overnight in 2 guest rooms of the Plumar house. Fact. The robbery was committed before the shooting. Fact. Plumar was not in attendance due to a flight delay and arrived later in the evening. Fact. The perpetrator came through the first floor window of the lounge where the safe was hidden. Fact. Maurice, the butler, was on the phone reporting the robbery at the time of the shooting. Fact. The chauffeur was found in an upstairs bedroom with 3 bullet wounds in his chest. Fact. The room was occupied by Robert Niven, who had left early in early hours of the morning. Fact. Now, Helene, with these facts, what is the inescapable conclusion?
The frog broke into the estate, stole the diamond, and killed the chauffeur.
What? My dear, only first-rate novice would come up with that conclusion.
But the facts.
You're forgetting the most important fact, Helene. Motive.
Plummer saw a figure trying to escape before being shoved back in the closet and heard 3 gunshots.
There, he heard 3 shots. He did not see 3 shots. And the figure was trying to leave before he claimed to have been pushed into the closet. Now, the frog may be rusty, but this is unclever even for him. Murder has never been part of his modus operandi.
Modus operandi, you mean?
Yes, I know. I was seeing if you were paying attention.
I've been wondering, Inspector, why is he called the frog? And how do you know it's a man? Isn't there a possibility it could be a woman?
Do not take this the wrong way, Helene. But it is rather obvious that it could not possibly be a woman. Such brute force on Pierre Duval's body suggests that the bruises on his arm were caused by masculine hands.
My grandmother had masculine hands.
Well, anyway, the frog has his name because his robberies happen so sporadically throughout Europe. One moment he'd be in Gstaad, and then days later another robbery occurs in London with the same calling card, a white glove with a frog sewn onto it. He even went as far as New York City. I believe it was a hotel room that belonged to Roger Moore, the famous movie star. He was filming a new movie in America and had just bought a necklace laced with stars on it for his wife. Then, in less than 48 hours, it was gone.
With the frog glove remaining?
Exactly. Oh, yes. Very clever and plenty rich to have such a means to travel around the world very quickly, as well as a master of disguise. He never uses the same one twice. When he started stealing jewels from associates of Jennifer Andrews, I thought I had finally found the pattern and set a trap for him at Princess Rye's guest house in Gstaad. The jewel was gone with the calling card in its place, but the fool didn't get far. I and the other officers managed to capture him in a fountain.
A fountain?
I, had an accident, and we both ended in the water. We both got up, and I was drying off. The blue fox was found in my coat.
The frog put the jewel in your coat to frame you?
Yes, I was arrested despite my protest that I was not the frog. My innocence was proved when he struck again. This time, Cairo, where he made off with a bejeweled scarab. It's ironic that this was the last we heard of him until now.
But if the frog didn't kill Monsieur Duval, who did?
Anyone in the Plummer household. As I've discovered the other day, it is a house of debauchery. Simone Plummer had an affair with Duval, and Plummer was having an affair with Lady Nevin. Madame Duval was clearly jealous of her husband's lechery. For all we know, she may have had an affair with the butler out of spite.
Say, were there fingerprints on the gun?
There were, and guess who they belonged to?
Who?
George Plummer.
Plummer?
Precisely. It proves my theory is true. Monsieur Plummer arrived home hoping to rendezvous with Lady Nevin, only he found her with Duval instead, despite his affair with Madame Plummer. I will need her confession to prove Plummer killed Duval in a fit of jealousy.
Madame Plummer?
No, Lady Nevin. She confesses to the affair and will further prove his guilt.
Lambert enters in a tirade, a band-aid on his head from the vase incident.
Idiot!
Excuse us, Helene.
Helene leaves.
Why did you bring Lady Nevin in for questioning?
To put an end to the case, Annie.
Shut up! If it were up to me, you would be still checking parking meters in Nice.
Lombard hands the newspaper to Arkin. He reads it carefully.
Trail of scandal follows Inspector Arkin.
You are fortunate that Plummer is not suing us for damages.
What has happened to his vase can easily be repaired.
I am referring to the claim you submitted in the papers that Plummer was a murderer and a philanderer.
Only to prove my theory on the murder.
What you claim qualifies you as the greatest prophet since the U.S. Confederacy claimed they would succeed in the Civil War?
The frog did not kill Pierre Duval. He only stole the blue fox and escaped. And whoever he is, that man is the only other person who knows who shot Duval. I'm right. You will see.
Inspector, Lady Nevin is here.
Very good. I'll be right down. Excuse me, Chief Inspector.
He leaves.
That fool! That megalomaniac! Give me 10 men like Arkin, and I could destroy the world!
Wasn't he supposed to be off the case after what happened at the Plummer Mansion?
He was?
Why?
An excellent question. One that deserves an answer. I received a phone call from the commissioner, and it seems there were certain influential parties that were interested in having Arkin on the case. I had no choice but to comply.
Incredible.
If I were to tell you the names of these parties, you would realize just how incredible.
Plummer?
And Lady Nevin? It's obvious that they would be the ones behind the request due to their affair. Plummer is already in such a nasty scandal that with the blue fox, a broken marriage further polarizes him. At first, I couldn't understand why anyone wanted a man like Arkin on a case as important as this. And then it occurred to me, the diamond.
The diamond?
He claims that he attempted to give the diamond back to Princess Ra to get his money back, and she refused. Now, if you wanted to get rid of a jewel that brought you unnecessary trouble, use a man with close ties to it in order to divert one's attention away from a sordid love affair. Arkin, a fool, a complete and utter fool, is his front man for a wild goose chase while he tries to get rid of the diamond.
You believe the robbery is a hoax and the frog was not responsible?
Of course. The frog is still an open case, but if he was not shown himself by now, he never will. Most cat burglars who retire stay that way to avoid further suspicions. But clearly, Plumer needed a scapegoat to take the fall. Anyone can find a white glove and sew a frog on it and say, "The frog was there," and collect the insurance policy.
But what about Pierre Duval? How does he fit into this?
Another excellent question, for which I have no definitive answer. But this much is certain. Duval was not only a lecher, he was also a compulsive gambler, a frequent guest at the Pussycat Hotel and Casino, where he racked up a large debt. Now, the gun used to kill him was registered in Plumer's name, with his and his wife's fingerprints on it. He claims it was for protection against the death threats he was receiving.
So is it possible that Duval tried to steal the diamond and Plumer killed him to prevent it?
Possibly. His lawyer prevents us from answering more questions.
It's an interesting theory, but what if you are wrong?
Lombard turns to Andre.
I know it's an extremely remote possibility, but if only for the sake of discussion. What if you are wrong and the frog did steal the diamond as Arkin claims?
Ridiculous!
But still, it's a possibility. And what if the murderer is indeed Plumer? Or even that someone else in the mansion killed Duval over his affair with Madame Plumer, and the frog was simply caught in the middle of it all?
It is a ridiculous thing to suggest.
He puts his hands on Arkin's desk.
I know it's remote, but if you were wrong, and Arkin, a complete and utter fool, was right,
I'd be ruined. Sanity and reason disappear. Madness reigns.
it is still something to consider.
Lombard attempts to remove his hand off the desk, only to find he cannot.
Andre, I seem to be glued to the desk.
Andre walks over and notices a bottle off to the side.
Super adhesive.
What?
I'll look for a reagent.
Andre leaves, and Lombard struggles to free his hand. Arkin re-enters the office.
Chief Inspector, you're still here. This is good.
Good is not a word. I am glued to your desk.
Oh, I apologize. I was using it for my suspect board. Here, I will help.
He attempts to pull Lombard's arm off the desk with no success.
Let go, you idiot!
I did not mean to leave you in this condition, but Lady Nevin has revealed a certain piece of information.
What?
She mentioned that Maurice the butler noticed her nephew back at the Plumer mansion after he claimed to have left an hour before the robbery was reported, and in a black outfit like the one that Plumer described in his statement. It means that he could possibly be the frog. I've really got him this time.
In his excitement, he trips on top of Lombard, who is now on his knees, with Arkin's phone falling with him. Arkin maneuvers around Lombard to reach the phone from under his boss, only to get them both tangled in the cord. Despite the predicament, Arkin manages to answer the call.
Hello, this is Inspector Arkin.
Listen carefully, Inspector. If you want to catch the murderer of Pierre Duval, Meet me outside the penthouse suite of Robert Niven at the Pussycat Hotel at 9 o'clock tonight.
Who is this? Hello? Hello?
As he attempts to untangle himself, Arkin begins to fall to the floor. Lambert's hand is pulled free, at last, all but painfully, and the two are still wrapped up in the cord as Helene enters.
Not there. Ow!
Oh my.
You idiot! Nincompoop! Lunatic!
Inspector?
Helene, I need your assistance.
Oh, of course.
Yes, was that too?
She helps the men out of the cords.
No!
Ow!
No!
Your other leg! Over there! No! But I need your help on another matter. But first, Chief Inspector receives a biome on the head.
A biome?
Yes. Here, Chief Inspector.
Yeah, just go out of my sight.
You want me to leave?
You are not out of this room in 5 seconds. I shall not be responsible for my actions.
But this is my office. I cannot just leave because someone tells me. But if you really want me to leave...
He pulls out what he thinks is a gun from the coat pocket.
You've had enough.
It is revealed to be a cigarette lighter.
Oh, no thank you. I don't smoke.
Lambert sits in the chair, exhausted and defeated.
Helene, do you have any plans tonight?
No, why?
That leads to my next question. Are you a size 6?
Inspector!
I assure you it is not without reason. I'll explain downstairs.
Helene exits.
Well, Chief Inspector, until we meet again, and the case is solved.
He exits.
Case is solved. Idiot!
He reaches into his other pocket, revealing a handgun. As he sits, he ponders over Arkin's conversation with Lady Niven, and soon dreads a terrifying conclusion.
He could be right.
He begins laughing mindlessly to himself as he prepares to exit. Sergeant Andre opens the door, hitting Lambert, causing his handgun to go off. Andre closes the door to find Lambert holding his hand, clearly in pain.
Oh!
Don't just stand there for a doctor and then help me find my pinky.
Scene 2. We find ourselves in Robert Niven's penthouse at the Pussycat Hotel. There is a closet, a bed, elaborate curtains, and a table with chairs. One door leads to the bathroom and another leads to a kitchen area. Robert is in a bathrobe with a newspaper and a coffee cup. There is a knock at the door. He gets up and opens the door. It's Maurice.
Maurice? Oh, this is a surprise.
Expecting someone else?
Not particularly.
May I come in?
Please.
I'll come presently to the point. We both know that you left the mansion 1 hour before the robbery, but that didn't mean you were innocent.
Innocent?
Cut the bullshit, as the Americans would say. I saw you enter the grounds 1 hour after you claimed to have left. You stole the Blue Fox and ran upstairs to your room. Not quite so smart on your end.
Well, it would seem you have it all figured out. Why don't you call the police?
I have my reasons. You see, I've learned the value of others' secrets. After all, knowledge is power.
Are we going to discuss noted quotes, or will you come to the point?
The point is 2,000 francs. Has it ready in 1 hour, or I go to the police with what I know.
Oh, that's where we are at an impasse. I already owe Mr. Lozier downstairs a similar sum of money that he is expecting as well.
Oh, I'm sure the Blue Fox will be more than enough to cover the debt.
You don't care for a priceless jewel?
I prefer cash. It's quickly given and less traceable.
And if I don't have the cash at the moment?
Your aunt is plenty rich herself. Why not ask her for the money? This time around, anyway.
In this for the long haul, Maurice?
Now, LaFrog, I'm not the one with a record number of thefts that can easily lead to years in prison. I'll be back in an hour.
He leaves. Robert removes the robe to reveal himself fully dressed.
And Claudia was right. Here's a spineless snake. Yes?
Room service.
He opens the door. A bellboy with a beard arrives with a cart and a tray of food that has wine on it.
I didn't order any room service.
She enters and closes the door before revealing herself to Robert.
But you need service, regardless if it is your room.
Aunt Claudia, nice to see your acting lessons paid off.
Someone has been highly dishonest, Robert.
Likewise, I'm not the one who left a do-it-yourself frog kit in her room months ago for anyone to find. Come now, Aunt Claudia. What's the real story of Le Frog?
First, explain to me why you lied about school.
You mean how they kicked me out? It's a long story, so the short version is that it just wasn't for me. But I liked receiving that monthly stipend, so I forged a report of good grades and academic achievement in order to continue receiving it. Then I lived a typical rich bachelor lifestyle. Parties, women, the works. Of course, I had some trouble with loan sharks when the money ran out. I came home hoping to get a quick handout, but found the kit instead.
So you lied and were snooping around? Oh, Robert.
I said my piece, Aunt. Now it's your turn.
Well, I suppose dishonesty is a family trait. I was bored and decided I needed excitement in my life. I put my acting lessons and mechanical knowledge to use and had a bit of fun, adventure, thrills, travel, and a bit more money on the side.
But why the frog? Why not something more majestic like the tiger or the puma, or even an intriguing name like, say, the phantom?
The newspapers gave me the name and I just decided to go with it, hence the glove. But did you know, Robert, that the frog is a symbol of transformation and life-sustaining adaptability?
And hopping from place to place has nothing to do with it.
Oh, of course, Inspector Arkin was relentless. He was the only cop determined to catch me at every turn. He nearly had me in Gestad.
When you tried to steal the blue fox.
I sacrificed it, if only to get away. It's a pity it ended up in his coat pocket. Had I known it would get him arrested, I would have just dropped it on the ground.
You never meant to frame him?
No, Robert, I'm not a vindictive person. That's why that scarab in Cairo was worth the trouble. But by that time your father had passed. I gave him my word that I would look out for you, and I never go back on my word. So I put my gloves away to see you through school and prepare for a bright future.
You willingly went back to dullness for me? It couldn't have been easy.
It would have been easy for you to have just told me the truth. Now Arkin is on your trail believing you are me.
But you can't deny finishing an old job of yours must make you proud in some way.
Despite the contrary, imitation is not always the sincerest form of flattery. And I'm still smart enough to know that if I wanted to get back in the business, I would not leave my old calling card announcing it.
Perhaps it was a little foolish on my part, but I needed to keep the heat off me until I got this.
He pulls a diamond similar to the blue fox from his pocket.
The jewel.
Not the real jewel, but it's a darn good copy. I'm going to show this to Inspector Arkin and convince him that I didn't do it.
A fake gem? Where's the real one?
In the wine bottle in the kitchen, vintage marked 1963.
1963. Not quite a bad year.
I'll tell him I intended to steal it and replace it with this, but it was already gone. This way I get at least a citation for trespassing, if anything.
How?
The inspector should be arriving soon. I told him the murderer would be outside my door at 9 o'clock.
Are you serious? This is overly complicated, even for you.
Want it even more complicated? You being here is good providence. I'll need you to distract...
Before he can name the killer, arguing is heard outside the door. It is Celine and Arkin. Both are in disguise as they make their way into the penthouse.
How's my week?
It's fine. Silence. Get back in the character.
It's going to be okay. Stop yelling at me.
Helene is wearing an outfit that makes her look like a schoolmarm with a gray sweater. Arkin is wearing a black wig with a red velvet suit and black-rimmed glasses.
Adulterous. Lascivious adulterous.
Claudia and Robert both watch the exchange with both bemusement and intrigue, knowing that it could be Arkin in disguise.
What's the last time, Helga? Leave me alone. I'm meeting with a client.
Just you wait. Don't be surprised if I take the children this time.
You monster! You horrible monster! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you from the moment I first married you! Oh, excuse me!
Is there a problem?
No, I was just trying to get away from my wife. She's under this delusion that I'm having an affair with my patient.
Patient?
Dr. Rudolph Fassbender of Vienna.
What's your specialty?
Women.
Funny, that's mine too.
Can I tell you what I once did in a Siberian brothel?
Later. I have a prior engagement. We can discuss methods a little later.
But sir, I'm a great psychoanalyst. I could help you with your problem.
Now, Doctor, there's no hurry. I'm sure Robert will be back rather shortly, won't you?
Absolutely.
He leaves.
Well, Doctor, I suppose we should make ourselves comfortable while we wait.
Lady Neville, I apologize for the deception, but your nephew must not suspect I'm here.
But why?
I'll be frank. I received a tip that someone was going to lead me to the murderer who was at the Blumare mansion, and that he would meet me outside this penthouse. Also, I must apologize once more for what I must do next.
What?
I must arrest your nephew for robbing the Blue Fox.
Arrest him?
I know it must be hard to accept that he is a frog, but the evidence...
Inspector, where did you come up with that conclusion? Is this why you ran out of the police station so quickly?
Yes, you said...
All I said was that Maurice, the butler, mentioned seeing him on the grounds around the time the robbery took place. That certainly can't prove he stole it, let alone be the frog.
It's the only conclusion. Who else could it be?
Well, it could be... I need a drink. Would you like a drink, Inspector?
She heads to the kitchen area.
No, I never drink while on duty.
He heads to the door and whispers.
Helene?
How was I, Peter?
Very good. Has anyone told you of your uncanny acting abilities?
No, but why did you have all those outfits in your apartment?
Everyone has hobbies.
Even Yo-Yo? Why did he attack you like that? He knows you live there.
I gave him instructions years ago to attack me whenever and wherever I least expect. It has now become a matter of pride for him to try and outsmart me.
He looks towards the kitchen area.
Now listen, I want you to follow Monsieur Nevin and find out who he is with. This might be a fence for the duel.
Claudia watches briefly before returning to the kitchen area.
I don't know, Inspector. This seems unlikely to be true. What if that tip was meant to be a trap for you? It seems so obvious.
And that is why you will never be a great detective, Helene. It is so obvious that it could not possibly be a trap.
Inspector?
Oh no, quick, under the cart.
Oh, what?
Quiet, I'll send you out the first chance I get.
Helene enters the cart as Claudia enters the living room.
Are you sure that you don't want a drink? Not even a soda?
Well, perhaps yes, have one. I'll just take this cart outside.
Oh, why should we let this food go to waste?
She moves a chair to the cart and sits down.
Please, join me.
Well, very well.
He grabs the other chair, and as he sits down, his foot kicks Helene.
Ow!
What was that?
What was what?
I thought you said something.
Oh, I always squeal before I eat, you know. It builds an appetite, you see.
I did not know that.
Yes, well, I try to learn new ways to better myself.
I think it's important to try new things. Life has taught me to appreciate the excitement life has to offer.
Now, why don't you tell me about Maurice? Why would he mention he saw Roberts if he wasn't deceived?
Maurice is a serial blackmailer.
What?
Oh, yes. You see, he wanted to blackmail George and me over our affair along with Simone and Pierre's. Now that the affairs are public knowledge, he wanted new income, so to speak. This mess of theft and murder is perfect weather for him.
Are you saying he causes?
Who can say? But with Robert's own misfortunes in America, you can understand why he felt the need to take advantage of my sensibilities.
What misfortunes are you referring to?
Robert recently graduated from school, and unfortunately he was not smart when it comes to money. I had to lend him some to fix it. That's why he came back to Europe. He was hoping for another handout.
You are most generous with your nephew, but sometimes the law is the law.
Arkin! I know you're in there. Come out at once.
He opens the door. Lambert has a bandage on his nose, and his hand is wrapped with a splint where his pinky and ring finger are.
Chief Inspector, I'm in the middle of an interrogation.
I don't care. Get downstairs. There has been a murder.
A murder?
A murder?
Helene's head pops out.
A murder?
Miss LeJoy, what are you doing here?
Undercover work.
You're not even under officer.
I brought her along, Chief Inspector. I was on a lead that would crack the case.
This case is already has enough cracks in it. No thanks to you.
Wait! You said another murder occurred downstairs?
Yes, go. I'll take care of this mess. Now out.
He shoves Arkin out the door.
I apologize for this inconvenience, Lieutenant.
Oh, it's quite all right. Inspector and I were just having a conversation about Maurice Lafarge.
It's ironic you should be discussing him. He is the one who was murdered downstairs.
What?
Someone poisoned his drink at the bar and was found in the casino hunched over a slot machine.
Well, that's unfortunate.
More unfortunate that your nephew Robert was the last person to see him.
He did mention a prior engagement downstairs, and Inspector Arkin theorized he stole the Blue Fox.
Now see here, I have on good authority to know my nephew stole nothing and killed no one.
And how do you know that?
He knows who killed Pierre.
Oh.
Simone enters holding Robert at gunpoint.
No one move.
Oh.
Madame Blomer!
You two, in the bathroom.
Now see here.
Now, both of you. I want to talk to these two in private.
Chief Inspector!
It's all right. Let's go.
They both enter the bathroom and Simone closes the door.
Now, you two, on the bed.
Now, Simone, it's already awkward as it is.
She has a gun, Robert. Try not to upset her.
They sit on the bed.
Am I to assume Maurice's demise was your doing?
He was blackmailing me about Pierre.
Would that have anything to do with the affair or the matter of his death?
I was trying to shoot George.
Whatever for?
For thinking he could get back at me by sleeping with you.
If it's any consolation, Simone, I didn't encourage him, not once.
It doesn't matter. I only need to get rid of him since he is the only other person who saw me shoot Pierre.
Ah, so Maurice did see you too.
That would explain why he's dead too.
He saw me running down the hall and put everything together.
Now, Simone, we're all friends here. I'm sure we can come to an understanding. After all, there are two other people who just saw you with a gun and threatened them to enter another room. You can't honestly believe you're going to walk away unscathed.
Oh, I've thought about that, my dear. That's why they are all going to die after I kill you two and make Robert's death here a suicide, with a note confessing to their murder and theft. But before we begin, where's the blue fox, Robert?
The blue fox?
Yes, it's to be present for this all to work.
No point in hiding it anymore, darling.
No, I suppose not.
Robert pulls a gem from his pocket.
Would you like a glove to go with it?
That won't be necessary. When that clumsy fool comes back and sees the jewel and bodies, he'll have to believe the case is closed.
Lady Neville, open up! Chief Inspector! Robert is on his way up here! You must be prepared to ambush!
Good evening, Inspector.
Fool!
Mr. Nathan, open the door. I'll be forced to break it down.
Simone motions Robert to open the door.
Very well. Here I come.
Robert opens the door. Arkin rushes in and crashes on the bed next to Claudia.
Oh!
Robert closes the door.
So much for your plan, Simone.
Lady Neville, I'm sorry.
Oh, I've been in far more complicated situations, Inspector. Now, you remember Simone Plummer?
You mean Monsieur Plumer's obnoxious wife?
The same.
Madame, what are you doing here? And where's the gun?
He means to kill us.
What?
I'm afraid he is right.
He moves to Claudia.
She's going to kill us?
Unless, of course, you can change her mind.
Is there anything I can say to change your mind?
Well, not that I can think of.
He paces in a semicircle around the room.
Suppose I want to let you in on a secret.
What secret?
For instance, suppose I were to tell you that your shoe is undone.
By a remarkable coincidence, Inspector, so is yours.
What?
He bends down to check his shoe. A gunshot goes off from the bathroom. Simone is now against the wall, slowly falling to the floor.
I see that you are familiar with the shoe ploy, and I see you are also familiar with the falling on the floor ploy.
She's been shot dead.
Now, don't you tell me how to...
More shots go off until Helene and Lambert exit the bathroom. Robert, Arkin, and Claudia are behind the bed. Lambert is giggling and clearly clinging on to sanity, as all watch with looks of concern.
Chief Inspector, she's down!
Are you yourself, Chief Inspector?
He was right. He was right. But he's an idiot.
I'm afraid this is not your day, my friend.
But it is.
He grabs Arkin.
It is my day. I will not permit, repeat, I will not permit anything or anyone, repeat, anyone to spoil it. Now, Miss LeJoy would take these two downstairs for statements.
He walks Arkin to the door.
I will walk you to the front door and I will kiss you goodbye. And you will drive off in that ridiculous car of yours. And I will submit my report to the commissioner. And this case will be closed. And then...
Andre opens the door, hitting Lambert. After a pause, Lambert, now completely lost, attacks Arkin and anyone who touches him, growling and laughing here and there.
I will kill you!
He grabs Arkin's throat.
Kill you!
Andre! Helene!
Kill!
Chief Inspector!
Lambert grabs Andre's arm, biting it.
Chief Inspector! Get a hold of yourself!
Andre struggles as he drags Lambert out of the room.
Come on, Inspector!
My, what a web of chaos we weave.
Are you alright, Helene?
Yes, Peter.
She embraces him.
Don't worry. It's over now.
Listen, Inspector. I know what you must be thinking, but...
Now listen here, LaFrog. The diamond must still be returned, and you will finally face justice.
Inspector, please. This is all a misunderstanding. He didn't steal it. Now, he was plotting to take it, but not as the frog. He wanted to replace it with a fake one, but he never made it to the safe.
He picks up the jewel.
Then how do you explain this?
Isn't it obvious? Maurice stole the diamond as leverage against the plumbers to continue blackmailing them over the affairs. She killed him and took it back for herself.
What Maurice said.
Yes. I was there, but it was already stolen by the time I got there. I ran upstairs to hide until I could leave more discreetly, but Pierre was in the room and tried to hold me down. Plumber tried to come out of the closet and I pushed him back in so he wouldn't get hurt. Then after I was freed, I made my way to the window, and that's when I heard the gunshots. I turned around, and there was Madame Plummer. She dropped the gun and ran, and I made my escape. So yes, I broke back in to steal it, but I was beaten to it.
Arkin looks puzzled, unsure what to think.
Why did you not tell the police about them, Adam?
I was afraid of implicating myself and what the plumbers would do if I caused such scandal.
And the frog's calling card?
Now, my dear, anyone can find a white glove and sew a frog on it.
Inspector, do you believe him?
Arkin pauses for a moment before answering.
Well, what do you think?
Me?
Yes, I want your honest opinion.
Well, it all fits. Maurice being a blackmailer, Madame's fingerprints on the gun, the affairs. I don't have a reason to doubt him.
Then neither do I. My good sir, you are simply young and foolish.
A fault time will correct, I'm sure.
And in light of what has just happened here, I will let you off your trespassing charge with a warning. But use opportunity to better yourself.
Oh, I will, Inspector. I promise.
He and Robert make their way to the door. Arkin hits his face on the wall.
Right. And try to do something about your decorator. Ellie, would you escort Mr. Nevin downstairs?
Yes, of course. Mr. Nevin?
They prepare to leave.
You know I read in a magazine that your first name isn't Robert?
No, it's David, actually.
David Nevin, like the English actor?
Now you see why I use my middle name instead. It could be worse.
How?
My name could be Robert Wagner.
They exit. Andre enters.
Well, I'm afraid the chief inspector won't be back to work anytime soon. After they managed to sedate him, the ambulance said his blood pressure was nearly off the charts.
That poor man.
Yes. Well, until then, the only senior officer to take his place while in recovery is you, I'm afraid.
Chief Inspector Arkin? It has a nice ring to it, don't you agree?
Well, I suppose it does. The law is calling my name, you know. My destiny. A few more years on the force, and I might even be persuaded to run for public office.
Rolling his eyes.
You can count on my vote.
And you, my friends, can count on me to do everything in my newfound power to see Chief Inspector Lambert through this terrible ordeal.
Andre makes the sign of the cross when Arkin turns away.
Here, take the blue box and keep it in our storage until we can get this matter of ownership resolved.
Very well.
He looks closely at the diamond.
Strange.
What do you mean?
There's supposed to be an image of the fox in the stone, but I cannot see it.
Of course not. The light, it is terrible in here. Now, take it out of here.
Right away, Inspector.
Chief Inspector, you mean?
Yes. Chief Inspector.
He exits.
Lady?
Please, call me Claudia.
Claudia?
Yes?
I know this is being just as stressful for you as it was for Lambert and everyone else involved. If you would like, I would be more than happy to make it up to you and your nephew.
Oh, how kind of you, Arkin. But I'll be leaving for Australia in a few days. There's a production of Hamlet being performed by the Bay Area that looks marvelous.
You like Shakespeare?
Yes. And I heard that Australian-styled curry is quite an experience.
Arkin is about to leave when she stops him.
But I would like an escort, if one can find the time off.
Oh, yes. I can certainly find the time today. I am the chief inspector, after all, for now anyway. And the commissioner, for some reason, always agrees to whatever time of vacationing I request. I hope you also enjoy swimming. The ocean is great relaxation, you know.
If you don't mind the jellyfish.
Well, I'll just take the cart and we'll set our plans into motion. And I'll say for someone to retrieve Madame Plumar for an autopsy.
Arkin exits with the cart. Claudia looks out the door before heading to the kitchen. She brings out a handbag and pulls out the blue fox. She brings it to the light and smiles.
You are one hard creature to obtain. I suppose 1963 was a good year after all.
She places it back in the handbag. Ah! A man shouts down the hall as Arkin struggles off stage with an individual. Claudia listens and laughs. He enters the room with a karate chop as silence builds on the other side.
Yo-Yo, you idiot! Not now! You still have to remember, there is a time and a place for everything, Yo-Yo!
He looks at the fourth wall.
And this is it!
He charges out of the room. A crash is heard off stage as people are shouting and screaming.
Men like Peter Arkin truly make this world more interesting.
She exits. Blackout. Curtain.
Fiend! Oh, very good!